So might as well do another video because, well, let me tell you, the monitoring and surveillance. Yeah, so I got feedback from actually being bugged, practically bugged. I kid you not. And don't forget that home devices like Google Home and Alexa are actually classified as bugging devices now as well. Oh yeah, this has all gone on since 2015 when I was lied about. And guess what? Brett Aikenhead was telling me. So basically, after he'd lied it was the 19th of December 2015. And I've already said this. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Oh, not the whole long-winded story. Actually, no, I'm not because I don't have much space left to actually do a long video. Um, no, I'm going to actually say this. Um, you disrespected me and gaslighted me for 9 years after I already explained the 19th of December 2015. Because I was already lied about back in October 2015. And this was just another branch of that. And police don't correct it. Seriously, police have information where it was like, oh, but this is what this person said. It's like, okay, I don't care. That's not true. And then they were told by me, it's like, yeah, it's not true. Oh my fucking God. And I'm still getting the same organisations with, well, where did he grow up then? It's like, I didn't grow up in Tamworth. I did not grow up in Tamworth. So they're trying to, oh, there's some idiots that actually years ago was even trying to drag me into, apparently people were molested or something in Tamworth. And I was just seeing if I was a victim of it. It's like, if I was, I would have said this. Oh, kid you know, that was another thing as well. It's like, that's weird. And I don't believe people were molested. Like, we've, the ones that have actually, like, I've met gay guys. Okay, I've met a friend, I'll tell you how they behave, like, these types of people. A friend of Stephanie DeSalis'. So again, it's all these freaks that Stephanie gets involved in. We're not friends. Stephanie just stalks me online. Seriously. And I'm not going to even entertain that for much longer than a 30-second because it doesn't need to be. I've already explained this shit. So I've met people where they go, oh, they got HIV, right? So HIV these days is nothing. You remain undetectable, it's nothing. There's no such thing as AIDS in Western developed countries. No one's died of AIDS since the 80s type thing. AIDS is different to HIV. Just for those who are not educated, there is two different things. HIV and AIDS are two different things. I've met people where they still go, AIDS. Like when you talk about HIV, they go, oh, AIDS. I'm like, what fucking decade do you live in? They're actually two different things. Anyway, and even I've spoke to doctors about this. I've literally sat with Gail Matthews and I'm like, you have no idea. I've run into people in Sydney who, when you say, oh, HIV, they go AIDS. And Gail's like, I'm like, that's how bigotry. That's why you don't, seriously, if Sydney's that bad, you don't want to live outside of Sydney. Literally, Gail Matthews, who's in IBAC in Sydney, and Gail Matthews is fantastic. She's a great doctor, and so is Professor Brew. And I'll be going to appointments of them to do stuff to do with me, and I'm like, I was having a discussion with someone, and essentially you say, so you're talking about HIV, and they're like, oh, AIDS, and it's like, HIV and AIDS are two very different things. And they still don't get it. It's like, no, they're two completely different things. Anyway, so let me go. So I met people that they go, oh, they contracted HIV, and it's like, and to cover up the shock of what people would think because they've got HIV, they go, oh, because I was raped. It's like, no, you weren't. You weren't raped. Why did you just lie? And a friend of Stephanie DeSala says this Greek guy, what is it, Michael GIA, what is it? Something wrong. This weird guy. Anything that's involved with Stephanie DeSalis has weird on it. Remember he's said to me, he goes, oh, he had um, contracted HIV because he was raped. I'm like, you were not raped. Why'd you just lie to me? And so I know gay guys that have issues. It's either their upbringings, whether they have issues with being gay, or they have issues with things that happen to them, or they freak out because they've caught STD of just chlamydia or gonorrhea or something. It's like, oh my God, what? Where did you guys grow up? Like seriously. Like me, like okay, I'll tell you how open I am. When I was in New York, I just went into the clinic in Chelsea, and I was getting my bloods and urines done and check and so forth. I had to go back to the. And they call me into a room. I'm like, oh, what's wrong? And they're like, okay, you've contracted. I think was it chlamydia or gonorrhea or something. It's like, oh, is that it? Like literally, and they're like looking at me. I'm like, yeah, I'm from the city in Australia. Like seriously, like that's not a big deal. I'm not from a country town, so things like that don't bother me. Literally, I'm not from a fucking country town. I've lived a very open, free life. I don't know who started this shit. What scam am I dragged into? And I'm like, oh, no, exactly where I would have caught it from because there was only one guy that I've just slept with just recently. And it's like, yeah. So I know exactly the person who I caught it from. I was like, okay. Yeah, big deal. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a tablet and injection. So like seriously, like I have no idea what people like, why they made up these stories. Like it's still, I have people today go, "He's from the." I was like, I'm not from the country. My mother did move to the country, and I've met people in the country. And this is why I go with the whole bullshit where they make up stories. So again, myself being from Sydney, born and raised, and my grandparents being very open to homosexuality, to the point that in February 2001, my grandfather, Reginald George Purdy, was bawling his eyes out when I was moving from Kerry Road into Manly. So Kerry Road, Blacktown into Manly, where I had been staying anyway the year before. And I'd also stayed in Edgecliff the year before as well. Oh God, was it Molesky? Lloyd. Lloyd Molesky. I was trying to think about this. My God, I can't even find his details. What happened to him? I used to live in, because I was saying, oh God, I used to go to Edgecliff Centre years ago. So I used to live in Edgecliff back in the year 2000. Lloyd Molesky. So I was living in between the city and Nan's place. So Nan and Pop's place, sorry, my grandparents' place in Blacktown. And Lloyd Molesky, here's the thing. He ended up getting a flatmate, Andrew Rodder, who I knew of in Tamworth. I kid you not. So Andrew Rodder will remember this because I used to go and stay in Edgecliff all the time, and Andrew Rodder was living there as well, and I knew his flatmate. So I knew his flatmate Lloyd Molesky. Andrew Rodder was great at mixing DJ music. That's how I knew Andrew Rodder, because I was so into my music. There was this guy in Tamworth, and he would mix music. It was fantastic. Andrew Rodder. Oh fuck, what happened to him? Even Greg Saunders will remember Andrew Rodder. Well, back in the year 2000, I was living in Edgecliff, and in Blacktown, because I'm from Blacktown. That's why I was living in between two. So I was living in the suburbs in Edgecliff. Anyway, decided to move back like in the city permanently because it was ridiculous to me. I was only really in the suburbs for Nan and Pop, basically. So I was only in the suburbs for Nan and Pop. My life was in the city. So I moved in the city permanently. So anyway, get off the subject here. Lloyd Molesky's nephew was a DJ in LA, and when Amanda and I was traveling around America in January and February 2001, I was trying to get in touch with him. Yeah, I didn't. But I'll have to find my old phone book. Must be somewhere in storage, somewhere in one of the boxes. Lloyd Molesky. Christ, what happened to him? Nicest guy. That was Andrew Rodder's flatmate in Edgecliff. Oh God, I was trying to think of that for ages. So yeah, because I was like, shit was going on. I'm like, hang on. I used to, like, when I was looking at places, like when I was moving from Surrey Hills, I'm like, well, I've lived in Surrey Hills for the longest period of my life. And then when I was going over to Rush Coast Bay, I'm like, oh yes, I live not far from here back years ago when I was living like temporary, like to and from. So Lloyd Molesky's place and Nan and Pop's place in Kerry Road, Blacktown. And then I moved into Manly. I know I've just gone on the subject. I'll go back around to it. Moved into Manly in February of 2001 when I just got back from America. And Pop was crying. So Reginald George Purdy was crying. And he's like, it's not because... I'm saying this because I was only moving from Nan and Pop's permanently into the city because, well, I'd been in the city anyway, like living most of my life in the city, and it was just not, the suburbs were just not for me. I'm from the suburbs. It's like, it's not for me. So Pop goes, like, he was crying. He's like, it's not because you're gay, is it? Like, because you think I don't accept you. Like, Pop was really like, he came straight out. He goes, because I know you're gay, Justin. Like, I'm like, yeah, no, Pop. He goes, well, you know your nan's uncle, your Uncle Fred. You know Uncle Fred's gay? I'm like, yes, Pop. And he goes, well, Uncle Fred's like my best friend. So therefore, my best friend's gay. So Pop was trying to do this whole, make you feel better. I'm like, Pop, I know it's okay, but I've got to move into the city. I can't be out of the city. You know what I'm like. And Nan and Pop were having this discussion, and Nan's like, like even, because Pop was like, your Nan's gonna Lola, Nan's gonna kill me. Like, she'd never talk to me again. I'm like, you know what I was like growing up. You know what I was like about the house in Leichhardt. And Pop's like, right, Lola, he always wanted to be in the city. You know what he was like about, your house in Leichhardt. He always loved that house. He always wanted to live in the city. You know this was going to happen. This is what it was like. And none of Pop used to say that. When Pop used to take me to go and see Big Nan in Leichhardt, he's like, oh, Justin's going to move to the city. And that's where Pop's from. So Reginald George Purdy's from the city, like my grandfather. So I've got my grandfather in me with that. I'm like, that, Pop. So my family's from the city originally. Like, we're not from the country, we're from the city originally. Like, I'm from the suburbs, but my grandparents are from the city. Mum just moved to the country, and that's the problem. So people think we're from the country. I'm like, no, I'm from city people. I'm raised by city people. There's a difference. So I'm still getting this now where idiots think we're from the country. I'm like, no, we're not from the country. My mum moved to the country. I'm from the city. And I really hate being pushed out of the city because I'm actually from a long line of city heritage of family members. Just because I'm born in the suburbs doesn't mean I'm like, that's where my family were always. They moved from the city to the suburbs, but I'm from the city. I hate this. It's horrible because I'm getting pushed out of my heritage and history. Must be how the Aboriginals feel being pushed out of Australia. Oh, were they pushed out of Australia? Because they're still here. They can live wherever they want. My heritage, Indigenous, and history is all the inner city suburbs of Sydney, and I'm getting pushed out. I'm getting pushed out while new people move in. So that's part of that. I really feel for the Aboriginals there. It's like, well, I can go back 200 years, pretty much, and all my family in the city. Like, let's go with Reginald George Purdy, Keith Charles Purdy. What's Pop's grandfather's name? Because they're all born in the city. They're all born and raised in those three generations of men. Reginald George Purdy, Keith Charles Purdy, and Pop's grandfather. They're all born and raised in the city. So I'm raised by city people. I'm not raised by country people. Now I've been pushed out. That's not fair. And new people come in from Adelaide and push me out. So when my family should be standing up going, hang on a minute, Justin's from Sydney. He's born in Sydney. He's raised in Sydney. Just because his mother moved and he went to high school in a different area. He only lived in Tamworth for 6 years. That's it. I lived in Tamworth for 6 years. That's it. I'm almost 46. Justin's grandfather, Reginald George Purdy, who was his father influence, because my father, Mark Fleming's not my influence. The father figure I had was Reginald George Purdy. My mother influence was Lola Purdy. Lola Purdy's from 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. Reg is from, Pop's from Balmain, Rozelle, but he was living in 90 Mansfield Street, Rozelle. The whole family's from the inner city. So my influence is the city. So I'm now pushed out. This isn't fair. And where people keep trying to make me, like, this has all been lies even since Giovanni. Like, he started this stuff to do with counselling and mental health and traumas. Like, said that I was having traumatic episodes if I had to go to Tamworth. I'm like, no, I wasn't. It's like, because because of how long it would take you to go. And I'm like, yeah, because I can't stand travelling. I hate it, and I hate leaving the city. He was making up stuff, and it's like, yeah, but I'm not from Tamworth. You were told I'm not from Tamworth. Everyone that I meet, I'm like, yeah, but I'm not from Tamworth. My mum moves there, and they don't listen. It's like, I'll speak to people now, like who I met 23 years ago, and they're like, oh yeah, because Justin's from Tamworth. I'm like, I'm not from Tamworth. Like, literally, when I was going for immigration, it's like the same shit. Like, I've met someone like, say, Kimberly Sito or Sam Delati or someone else, or Stephanie DeSalis. You meet them in passing, and you talk once about that my mother moved with her second husband, and then they just fixated on it. It's like, oh, Justin's from Tamworth. I'm like, I'm not from Tamworth. And then you get turned around and goes, didn't you tell me you're from Tamworth? I'm like, I never told you I was from Tamworth. I told you that my mum moved and I went to high school there. And that's the end of the story. I told you. I said, but apart from that, I've lived most of my life in the city, and all my family's originally from the inner city. My mum just moved for a lifestyle change, and literally that's the end of the story. It's like, yeah, my mum moved for a lifestyle change. And they're like, but your twin sister's, she's lived up there a long time. It's like, yeah, my twin sister has, because she's been kept under a bubble by her mum. She's so controlled by her mother, where I'm not controlled. So that's it. Like, my mother destroyed my life to try and control me, and look what I've got left of it, nothing. And she's still not going to control me. Like, she tried to, hey, in 2017, she kept sending me these packages down to my address, which I don't even know how she got my address. And she put a stick on them saying, sign here. And it was to sign her over to be power of attorney. That's how much of a control freak she is. Oh, yeah. Why do you think I played the acting scene from 2016 to 2018? Is to get people arrested. There's nothing wrong with me. You know, like Giovanni was pretending to be a carer. My mother then tried to scam on top of it and to claim power of attorney, all this stuff. And I'm sitting back going, right, that's it. I'm going to destroy people. I want it to go to as high up in the courts as it can, to show what scammers people do when they hear that someone's got an illness or a sickness or an injury. Yeah, I was mugged after work, and all I've seen since I was mugged after work is scammers. And that's what stopped me going back to my job at Star Casino. Not me, not my health condition, nothing, except the scammers that jump onto it. It's like, instantly in Australia, that's the problem. I hope America never gets to Australia level of having Medicare. Instantly, you get an injury in Australia, and next minute you've got all of these social workers. They get paid for it, you see. So you have all these organisations that need to keep you in a system. You're getting paid for it. Giovanni got paid for it, my ex-partner, but he scammed it. He scammed it. Everyone scammed it. Like, I'm still waiting to get the actual truth of information told from 2009. Like, seriously, because I went back to my studies in 2009. I'm like, yes, I was mugged and robbed after work. That's right. I had injuries for that. That's right. And I keep getting all this shit happening. It's like, also then you needed help, you needed care. I'm like, no, that's wrong. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that subject. So back. So where this was going, now I've gone all the way off in the last 15 minutes with the other conversation. Get back to country people. So, you're right there, Baxter. You mind talking in the background? So again, I've met people in my life, and they're like, I was molested. I'm like, no, you weren't. Seriously, I'm like, even Mark Hanna was trying to play that. Some other guy, I don't know, Peter Fry. I'm thinking, this guy I met, like, this weirdo that came up to me while I was walking my dog around Rushcutters Bay Park, Red Rover side. He walked up to me, so he already knew who I was for social media, whatever, or from being a friend of Brett Aikenhead's. And the first thing he said to me was, this Peter Fry in 2016, never met him before in my life. He goes, I'm a friend of Brett Aikenhead's. And the second thing was, I'm like him, Peter. He's like, oh, I'm getting monitored and surveillance. My place is bugged. I was like, I really should do something that video. I'm like, what? And I was like, that's funny, because Brett Aikenhead told me in December 2015 that I'm bugged. Man, kid you not. Brett Aikenhead said, after he lied about me in 2015, he said, well, you know that the police have got a tracking device on your car now. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, here we go. Conspiracy theories. And your place is bugged? Like Brett Aikenhead said in December 2015, he goes, oh, your place is bugged. I'm like, is it? Then I better play a really good acting stunt to prove that it's bugged, Brett. And anyway, end up being, I did get, actually, like, all jokes aside with that, yeah, I actually end up being the victim of monitoring, surveillance, and the privacy invasion practically bugged. I'm like, oh, so some truth in what Brett told me in 2015. And I did play a good prank to try and catch it out, but it hasn't got anywhere yet. Idiots thought I didn't know. So, yeah, you're fucking dickheads. Anyway, so yeah, this actually happened. So, yeah. And then in 2016, this Peter Fry walks up to me, says he was a good friend of Brett Aikenhead's, and that he's getting monitored and surveillance and his place is bugged by police. And I'm like, all right, let's play a prank. It was. Oh, you ended up being two. I was like, all right, that's two people that said the truth, Brett Aikenhead and Peter Fry, and I didn't take their characters seriously. And it was like, seriously, I'm like, all right, let's try it. Oh, they were. Oh, police were monitoring this Peter Fry like you wouldn't believe. I was like, fantastic. Good, because I'm so sick of the bullshit lies since 2015. So I'm just going to fucking fuck over everybody. Anyway, yeah, I would never go out with someone like Peter Fry. I don't even know him. He hung around for about 5 weeks when I was playing this little prank on people, and I was trying to gather as much information from this guy as I possibly could. Literally, I was trying to get as much dirt to go, oh, I'm going to use this for blackmail. Sorry, blackmail's the wrong word. Quid pro quo. For fucking losers. Anyway, I shit you not. This is like, I'm just looking at this going, oh, fuck me dead. Australia is such a fucked country. Oh, I hate it. So, yeah, I had people. I've had like, you know, like it's always country town or Australian or bogans, and like ones that have been dragged up where they can't accept the fact that they're gay. So you find a lot of homosexuals that I was like, oh, I'm bisexual. It's like, are you really? Or are you just saying this because you're not accepting the fact that you're gay? And if you're bisexual, then I'm really not interested in this. So I say, oh, like seriously, because I really don't like people with personality disorders. Because that's what bisexual is, personality disorder. I'm homosexual. I've always been openly homosexual. I've never hid the fact that I was gay. I came out in 1992, and yeah. Oh, some idiots try to label me with personality disorder. Recently, it's like, oh, you're an idiot. You're talking about somebody else. Seriously, since 2015, I've had idiots talk about people that thought it was me. I had some idiots go, oh, when you have blonde hair and you put blue. That's how I knew they were talking about Darren Taylor. It's like, you're talking about Darren Taylor. He had green hair at one stage. He had blue hair. Because they get the music, they get some parts right. It's like, yeah, you get the music right. And they're like, oh, and your girlfriend, I've never had a girlfriend. I had boyfriends. And yeah, so you could easily tell. Same thing when they got the idiot that was like, oh, this time they got the high school right because the same like a person in the high school, wrong person. They're talking about Justin Pascoe. Then some other idiots talked about thinking information related to Shane Childs, information related to Daniel Rackley. It was to do with me. Then I had idiots say I had personality disorder because my last name is Rackley and I changed it to Fleming. It's like, I never changed my name to Fleming. My last name is Fleming. It's not Rackley. You were told this. So it's all this weird shit that's gone on over the years. And that's what's caused all the damage. That's what caused the damage in America. So I'm sitting back with the damage and my mum's there going, oh, this is your fault. I'm like, how's this my fault? How's it my fault that idiots were saying, oh, we changed his name from Rackley to Fleming? It's like, that's insane. Rackley is my mum's second husband. Or that, oh, that's right, some idiots are because I'm looking at how buffed up my hair is at the moment. Oh, his hair's fake and it was blonde. I'm like, look, it wasn't, the only time my hair was ever been blonde is when I was a baby and toddler, like naturally blonde. Other than that, I had to put foils in it to make it go blonde. So I used to bleach it. Oh yeah, Belinda Jeffries, my so-called hairdresser, thought that I dyed my hair black because I was wrongly identified as somebody else. It's like, my hair is naturally dark brown near black. Has been since I was a kid. And my hair isn't fake. Like, it's very much real. You can see there. Like, literally how people think that it was. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Oh, gotta be careful how to injections. My head on Wednesday, gotta be careful. Oh, yeah, from the problem when I got mugged, I had to get injections right here in the back of the neck and everywhere. Oh, that hurt. And up here, try and stop any pain coming through from where I was hit badly. Anyway. And then some idiots were like, oh, he curls his hair, it's personality. So I was like, I don't curl my hair. I straighten it. I've been brushing my hair straight since I was a kid. And so we're talking before Faith Rackley was ever born, because we're talking about when I used to get ready to go to the under-18s discos at Rudy Hill RSL. So I have been straightening my hair since we were living in Dunsmore Street, Rooty Hill. Like literally, so I've literally had people go, so because finally, like, because I don't put so much product in my hair anymore. Like as a kid, I used to plaster it down with gel and hairspray. So now you can actually see. When I was a kid, you can't do that with my hair when I was a kid, because it would just get. It was hard as a rock. I used to put all these products in it. And so literally I've had people make up stories and go, oh, he curls his hair, or he does this, or he does that. It's like, no, I don't. It's just that you're looking at photos of me when I was, in it as a kid, and I used to put, I used to put like Vaseline or baby oil in it. It's got oils in it now, actually, still, because I didn't wash it when I come home. Ugh. And I used to put that in it. And then creams like Brawl cream. I used to put Brawl cream, and then I used to then put hair gel, like that real thick hair gel that you used to get like in the 80s, and then part it and like just brush it down straight, and then spray it with hairspray. So you could not do this to it like I'm doing now, because it was solid as a rock. It was like so crusty and solid. I had so much product in it. Um, and that's the only reason why it's like this. Just because my hair was done in a certain style, that was just a certain style. I used to brush it. Here's my hair naturally. And I was like, seriously? Oh, this all went through immigration crap as well. It's like, oh, that's why I cancelled my green card. It's like, seriously, I've just been gaslighted for 9 years. So I need now counselling, because I've been the victim of abuse every day for 9 years. And I need to be able to recover from that so I can move forward, which means recover from the gaslighting. So the first way of healing from gaslighting for 9 years, I need the false information corrected, the lies about me corrected, and the truth, which can be easily verified because I've got documents backed up. I'm so done. Look how fat I am because of it. So yeah, that's just it. And the whole thing about country, yeah, look, my mother moved with her second husband. She changed her lifestyle around and wanted everyone to do the same thing as she did. Like, this just ridiculous. And look, I've been King's Cross, and see, police are part of this. Police are part of the gaslighting. Look, I'll be in King's Cross at Max's because I asked Pop, Regional George Purdy, where his tattoos came from. So Reg here had an anchor. I'm trying to think what his other tattoo was. He had an anchor there on his arm. And Pop said he had it done at King's Cross, which is most likely because that's where his brother was living. And the only place that was around, I asked Max tattoos. I said, who was around in this area back in those days? And Peter at Max Tattoos said it would have been here. Your grandfather would have had it done here. And so that's the other thing is what all these people, like even Stephanie the Silas, they're all thinking that they're from the country. It's like, you're insane. Pop's from Balmain, Roselle. Like, we're not from the country. Whatever my mother wants to scam and make out, good on her. But she never heard of the country area she lives in before 1989. She went there to change her lifestyle around, and she looks like an idiot when she makes these statements because, like that's where I sort of sit back now. I'm like, oh god, I can't believe my twin sister. Like, she's just so under Carol's bubble. Like, our whole family's from the inner city suburbs of Sydney, and then some of us, like myself and my twin sister, are born and raised in the suburbs, and because it suits them to say they're from the country, whatever scam they're doing. So good luck with it. Like, oh, Dad's been at Empire Bay for 30 years. They're from Sydney, in Sydney suburbs. So, anyway, I've been in the city for 25 years. So, almost 25 years now. Next year will be 25 years. So, it's just stupid. I lived the longest period of my life in Rushcurrs Bay and Surrey Hill. Well, meaning the longest period in those houses that I lived at in Surrey Hills and Rushcurrs Bay, the two longest periods I've lived anywhere in my life. I haven't lived anywhere longer than that. So, yeah. Scamming. Scamming. That's what they do. So I don't care. Gaslighters, like, well, you can keep gaslighting me, but there's the documented proof. I gave it to a barrister. I was like, can you actually just do something with this? Like, if you want to help, then I want the gaslighting to stop. I just want to be verified.